Hello BUS1111 students. In this video, I'm going to explain the requirements for Applied Activity 5. As part of Applied Activity 5, you're going to complete the course-based research project form that is required according to the Cambrian Research Ethics Committee. In order to fill in this form, you do have to complete the TCPS2 core certificate first. So if you did not submit that certificate and complete the assessment, you will not be able to access this applied activity. Make sure you contact your professor for the course so that you can talk about what next steps to do so that you can still complete this activity. Once you have access to the activity and you've completed the TCP2 core certificate, what you're going to do is fill in this form, Student Application Form for Ethical Review of Course-Based Research Projects. There are a lot of documents available for this assessment, so this is where you'll start with the form. The form looks like this, and it has from section A all the way down to section G. In order to know how to fill in these forms, please access the instructions, Applied Activity 5 instructions. That is where there'll be a full description on how to complete the form. Completing the form should take approximately between 2 to 4 hours. The first step is to download the form that I showed you. Then in section A, you'll fill in your personal information. Next is section B with information about the project. So after section A with your personal information, section B asks for your research question and project title. There's also some new components within section B where you have to get more specific about your research methods, where the research will be conducted, the characteristics of the participants, how they'll be recruited, their relationship, compensation, etc. The full details of what you need to fill in each section is found here. Then in section D, you have to identify if there's any risks or conflicts of interest. The answer to these questions in section C should all be no. We discussed risks and conflicts of interest in the TCPS2 core certificate. If for any reason you think the answer to one of these questions should be yes, you must contact your professor before proceeding any further. Next is section D. The instructions for section D are here. Section D is similar to section C because there is a required response. Here, you're going to explain how participants will be informed, and here you have to identify if participants have the right to stop participating without penalty. Your answer should be yes. If for any reason you think the answer should be no, that you're not going to allow them to stop participating, you must contact your professor. The same is true for confidentiality. Can any participant be identified by the collection of data? Your response should be no. Again, this is indicated in the instructions for privacy and confidentiality. If your answer is yes for any reason, you must explain why you need to be able to contact the people. Otherwise, your answer should always be no for that component as stated here. Sections F and G are more straightforward. You'll just need to check off that you've included all the required documentation in section F, and in section G, you'll provide your signature and go through this checklist that you agree to the following before making your submission. I do want to talk a little bit more about the documents for submission in section F. Number 1 is that you need to submit this completed form. Number 2 is that you'll need to submit the informed consent document. I asked all students to embed informed consent at the beginning of their questionnaires. So this will not be a separate document. Your informed consent should be contained within your questionnaire. You have to provide recruitment materials. So I'm going to talk about this more in a second, but you'll have to create materials you can use to recruit people to fill in your questionnaire. And your final research instrument, that just means a link to your questionnaire. Some students I gave feedback to make changes to their questionnaire on Applied Activity 4. Please use that feedback to make changes before you provide me with a link to your questionnaire again. These are the things that you need to provide as part of this submission. So the one that you probably have a question about is about the final recruitment materials. A recruitment material is how you'll ask other students to participate. This could be a poster, an email, or a letter, but no matter what you decide to create, it has to include the title of your research project, a headline or hook, a 1 or 2 simple sentence description of the research project, what the participants will be asked to do, who can join, how to join, which is a link to your questionnaire, and your contact information. You can easily create a poster that contains these details using Canva or PowerPoint. I've created an example for you to follow. In PowerPoint, I made this poster. It has the title of my study. It even has the course that it's a part of. I have my headline, want to help contribute to a healthy environment at Cambrian. Then I have the objective of my research, what people will be asked to do, who can join, and how to join. They just have to scan this QR code that you can get from Microsoft Forms, or you could provide the link if you prefer that you provided me on Applied Activity 4 to access your questionnaire. You also must have your contact information. So here I've included my contact information as an example. Finally, once you've done all of that, you're going to need to submit the recruitment materials and the form. So if I was making a submission as a student, all I would need to submit is the completed form as number 1 and my poster that I use for recruitment materials as number 2. I know this can be a lot of instructions, so I've also provided an example of a completed form. It's called Jenna's example for the student application form for course-based research, where I've showed you an example of how to fill in every single one of these boxes for my example on the smoke-free campus policy that I've been using throughout the course. Make sure you do not copy my responses. You need to have your own unique responses, but this is just to show you how the completed form should look before you upload it to Moodle. So if I was making the submission, what I would upload is this form that is completely filled in and this poster. And that is all I would need for my submission. I'd go back to Moodle and I would upload it. One final check through is what all of these documents are. This one is the form that you need to fill in. This is the instructions for the entire applied activity. This is my example of a completed form and my example of a recruitment poster that you can follow to help make sure that you've met all of the requirements for this assessment. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask your professor. Thank you for watching this video.